Yugito Nii is one of Naruto's most dangerous Jinchuriki, which might seem crazy since her only notable moment was getting her flipped, or that she may not compare in strength when stacked up against Naruto, Killer Bee, or Gaara. Not forgetting Kishimoto loves to underwrite his women, except for Tsunade, shout out to her. After looking closer into the hidden lore of the Jinchuriki, Kumogakure Shinobi arsenal, or just straight up waifus in the series, Yugito not being on the front and center of our minds is less of her and more of a problem with Kishimoto. Yugito is the unsung Jinchuriki that the series refused to acknowledge. Think differently, I'll show you how. Now before you like and subscribe, help a out, you feel me? Cue my music. On the highway and I'm thinking that I love her. When we analyze the atrocity of Kishimoto barely giving this waifu any praise, we have to start at Yugito's skill level as a Jinchuriki, because once you understand this, you'll start to realize her fight against Hidan and Kakuzu wasn't a verdict on her being weak, but key evidence on Yugito actually being one of the stronger Jinchuriki. First, we have to mention she is a Jinchuriki of the two-tailed beast Matatabi, a fiery panther-like beast that is known for its proficiency in fire-based techniques, which I can't help but mention aesthetically he's one of the more cooler looking tailed beasts, especially comparing Matatabi to the seven tails. Like, what the f was that? And even though most of us make the assumption the more tails one of the 9 beasts have, the stronger they are, analyzing the two tails, it can't be further from the truth. In the anime and manga, Matatabi is often portrayed as one of the more speedy and agile beasts due to his feline nature, who can perform tail beast bombs just like all the other tail beasts. In Boruto, Matatabi is shown to not be sealed in another Jinchuriki after Yugito, signifying he has likely evaded human capture. So with this being the tail beast that existed within Yugito, looking at how she managed to control Matatabi shows Yugito's godlike expertise as a Jinchuriki. Yugito became a Jinchuriki at the age of 2 years old, which isn't the youngest that someone had a tail beast sealed within them. However, Yugito is a ninja of the hidden cloud village, and this might not seem like relevant information, but going back to Naruto's path in mastering his tail beast abilities with Kurama, it was the 4th Raikage who proposed Naruto heading to Turtle Island, the training ground for Jinchurikis that is owned by the hidden cloud village. Yugito being a Kumogakure nin, it is safe to say she trained here as well, learning to confront her inner darkness and use her tail beast abilities to the fullest. Yugito most likely has been training to master her skills with Matatabi at a young age, cultivating a synergistic relationship with the two tails that can put her on the higher tier of Jinchurikis. And referencing Killer Bee and Yuki's close relationship with one another, Yuki serves as extra counsel to Bee, or functioning as his alter ego taking over his body in battle. Even though we don't get much of Yugito and Matatabi's interactions in depth, we can come to the conclusion Yugito probably had a comparable relationship with Matatabi as well. What shows for this is her use of Matatabi's tailed beast abilities. Canonically, Yugito is among the earliest Jinchurikis we see in Naruto summon their tailed beast at will, showcasing her proficiency as a Jinchuriki, only serving as evidence for what we've gone over before. And there isn't enough credit for Yugito where that's concerned, given at that time our only concept of the tail beast were Kurama taking over Naruto completely. While in her tail beast form, Yugito can generate fireballs from her mouth that destroy entire buildings. Even though we don't see Yugito use this move as Matatabi's Jinchuriki, she does have the potential to use the tail beast bomb, like we saw when Matatabi fought Kurama during the war. Similar to stronger Jinchurikis like Naruto and Killer Bee, she does possess the potential for wide-scale destructive force. Also, and just like Killer Bee, Yugito can manifest aspects of Matatabi without bringing out his appearance entirely. During the 4th Great Shinobi War in Edo Tensei, Yugito was able to extend her nails to attack Naruto and Killer Bee, embodying a cat when their claws poke out. Yugito also uses another move against Killer Bee called Fiery Hairballs. She spits out blue flame fire release hairballs shaped like a mouse that can scatter into different pieces to attack her target. When she used this against Naruto, Killer Bee grabbed Naruto and evaded her attack, revealing just how destructive this attack was head on. Yugito is able to manifest multiple jutsu abilities that combine with her tail beast, showing how in battle she's a dangerous opponent and deserves to be respected. So when we analyze Yugito's main fight against Hidan and Kakuzu, where she goes up against these two for Yugito to ultimately lose her life, this wasn't an easy win for them. Yugito simply got outnumbered. Keep in mind, the Akatsuki consists of primarily S-class rogue ninjas that operate in teams of 2. Kakuzu, the shinobi who existed since the first Hokage's time and went up against Hashirama himself, fought against Kakashi and went up against the Ino Shikacho formation and the allied forces during the 4th Great Shinobi War. And Hidan, a literal immortal man who sent Asuma to his death. It took Shikamaru going deep into his bag for Hidan to be defeated. For Yugito to take these two on simultaneously, but primarily Hidan, for what can be perceived as an extended period of time, speaks to her combat ability. Not forgetting Yugito did not seek to evade these two in battle. When cornered into an underground cave, Yugito lured them in and used paper bombs to trap them inside, to then release Matatabi in full effect. Yes, she did lose, but it's not a blemish on her record. With Yugito's intricate proficiency of her use with Matatabi, and through a plethora of data we've detailed just now, we can say that she's a perfect Jinchuriki. Yes, Yugito may not be be as strong when compared to Jinchurikis like Naruto, Gaara, or the saucy Killer Bee, but she does not trail behind when compared to the rest of the 9. However, where she does actually lead in her skills is as a Kumogakure shinobi, because when we touch on that, she is even more OP.
Kumogakure no Nii, Yugito Nii ni kakete.
Although we do not get much material on the Hidden Cloud Village, from the characters we do see and through context clues, Yugito ranks amongst the highest in Kumogakure. According to the databooks, Yugito is a Jonin who has completed 1,025 missions, with 260 of them being A-rank missions and 34 being S-rank. To put that into perspective, Kakashi, who is the 6th Hokage, has completed 1,141 missions, with 298 of them being A-rank missions and 42 being S-rank missions. Jonins like Might Guy and Asuma have completed less than 30 S-rank missions compared to Yugito's 34. That should help you understand the type of ninja we are dealing with when analyzing Yugito Nii, and especially when we stack up her performance against the other Kumogakure ninja. Darui becomes the Hokage after A, the Gold and Silver brothers, Ginkaku and Kinkaku, Atsui, then there's Samui, who I did a video on, link in description. And yes, there are more shinobi I am missing like the 3rd Raikage, but looking at the Shibuya battalion of these Kumogakure ninja, this is a good lineup to see where Yugito ranks. First, we have to go back to Yugito's initial fight against the Akatsuki. Even though she got blitzed by Kakuzu and Hidan, knowing that she hung around in the fight should let you know where she stands, especially when we compare her fight to the battle of the allied forces against Ginkaku and Kinkaku with Kakuzu, which showcased a plethora of hidden cloud ninjas. The Gold and Silver brothers were Kumogakure ninja who were swallowed whole by Kurama and survived by eating his flesh for 2 weeks until eventually being regurgitated out. By being descendants of the Sage of Six Paths, these two were able to obtain Kurama's chakra reserves and use it in battle. With these two alongside Kakuzu, who we established as an S-rank rogue ninja, 2 pseudo Jinchuriki like ninjas, and an Akatsuki member with other Edo Tensei ninja and white Zetsus, it took Darui's entire battalion and assistance from the Inoshige-cho formation to defeat. So what does this mean in relation to Yugito? Yugito took on Kakuzu and Hidan even though Hidan was the primary fight, and Hidan wasn't fighting the allied forces. The Gold and Silver brothers can be a comparable substitution. Also, to reiterate, she is a Jinchuriki of the Two-Tails, which definitely makes her a tank in battle, but also as a political asset. Hashirama during the early 5 Kage Summit days gave the tail beast to the other hidden villages as a sign of peace between them. Groups like the Akatsuki with Madara predicated their entire infinite Tsukiyomi plan on collecting all the tail beasts. So Yugito being a Jinchuriki instantly raises her status and importance across all the 5 hidden villages. When we compare her to Killer Bee, the 8-Tails Jinchuriki, who was also a ninja of Kumogakure, her importance as a hidden cloud shinobi is pronounced even more. In Naruto, we come to understand that Jinchurikis are often outcasted by their villages. Seen as threats to society, they face harsh social isolation. For instance, Naruto Uzumaki himself and Killer Bee when he became the 8-Tails Jinchuriki. However, for Yugito, she wasn't shunned at all. According to the databooks, Yugito was actually praised by her entire village and took pride in being a Jinchuriki. Even though Killer Bee was older than Yugito, he still looked up to her because of her immense skill as a shinobi. Also, something that was never explicitly stated in Naruto or any other source is she could have participated in the 3rd Shinobi World War. For context, Yugito was 29 years old when we are first introduced to her in the anime. Killer Bee, who we know participated in the 3rd war, is 36 years old. That's only a 7-year difference, which could be plausible she did play some part in the war. Now, she may not have played a role like Killer Bee fighting with A, however, that can add to a resume of the type of shinobi Yugito is to Kumogakure. But what can't be put on a resume is her personality, because when that shows up, we understand her entirely. When it comes to who Yugito is as a person, we get very little evidence on who she actually is. From wanting to take on the Akatsuki by herself shows Yugito is a very loyal and decisive person who's willing to make the hard call even if that means putting herself in danger. According to the databooks, she does have some hobbies. First, she loves to play the shamisen, a traditional Japanese 3-string musical instrument. Also, her favorite foods are tekadon and milk, which are also traditional Japanese cuisines. But what gives Yugito the most characterization past her strength and feats is Killer Bee's infinite Tsukiyomi sequence in the anime-only episodes. In this anime-only side arc, Killer Bee is tasked with finding the other Jinchuriki whose tailed beasts are in this chibi form living outside of them. All 9 Jinchuriki must come together, fight the Akatsuki with the White Zensu army in a decisive battle. In his infinite Tsukiyomi sequence, we get to see a lot of Yugito. When Killer Bee initially asks Yugito who she is, Yugito punches him on the arm in a comedic moment, highlighting the potential relationship between these two. In tandem with Killer Bee trusting Yugito to find the other Jinchuriki in a separate group as him, this can highlight how Killer Bee views Yugito as a reliable figure. Also, there is this brother and sister-like bond between Killer Bee and Yugito that if Kishimoto really wanted to expand their story arc, could have turned into more of a comrades to lovers type situation. I mean, Killer Bee does think Yugito is hot, but that's just a take from someone who loves romance anime. Also, another small moment that is worth adding in the sequence, Naruto calls Yugito Auntie Yugito, which Yugito, irritated, quickly corrects and tells him Sister Yugito, showing that in Yugito's lifetime, she became increasingly insecure about her age, which I can't blame her for, to be honest with you. Also, according to the databooks, Yugito's desired opponent is anyone who threatens the village, revealing her deep love for Kumogakure. But from all we've covered, Yugito is Jinchuriki who has managed to perfect her abilities, while not ducking the fate against Hidan and Kakuzu. As a Kumogakure shinobi, she is no doubt one of the most important ninjas to this hidden village. And as a person, from the loyalty to her village, sense of leadership, and the speculative relationship between her and Killer Bee, she is someone we should have seen more of. At the end of the day, Yugito is a perfect Jinchuriki who managed to summon the Two-Tails at will. Her manifesting the Two-Tails through extending her claws and creating blue flamed hairballs shows that her fight against Hidan and Kakuzu wasn't a brutal loss, but they had earned Yugito's defeat. As a Kumogakure ninja, her resume and importance to the hidden village shows just how important she was to the Raikage, but most importantly Killer Bee. What makes Yugito an underrated Jinchuriki isn't that she had the most destructive jutsu or became a Kage, but she was able to master a tailed beast and serve as the perfect weapon for Kumogakure, and the perfect threat to anyone who threatens this village. To put it simply, Yugito is one of Naruto's most dangerous Jinchuriki that Kishimoto didn't allow you to see. But that's what I think. If you think differently, the same, or just want to add more, comment down below. Right after, leave a like and subscribe. Once again, my name is AOI-KUN, and this was my synopsis.